So let's put it this way. Sober Mitch would probably have Patrick Mahomes above Tyreek Hill on the top 100. And sober Mitch would probably also rank Patrick Mahomes as the best player in the NFL entering 2024. But the players making and voting on the NFL top 100 players of 2024 clearly were not sober. That being said, I think that everybody is overreacting. Patrick Mahomes last season did not have his best year. That is a fact. He did win the Super Bowl. He did win the Super Bowl MVP, and he has done that 2 years in a row. He was also the MVP last season, but not this season. Again, I would rank him first. But if anyone has an argument to be better than Patrick Mahomes, is it not Tyreek Hill? I've said it for years here on The Bottom Line View, and I feel like I've been saying it since about 2018, that Tyreek Hill is the biggest game changer in the NFL. He is the best receiver in the league, and in my opinion, he has been that for quite some time consistently. Other players like Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson have had better individual seasons, but since about 2018, the best receiver in the NFL has been Tyreek Hill. And since 2018, most consistently, although Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers were in that mix as well, the best quarterback in the NFL has also been Patrick Mahomes. But the top 100 is not judged off of value. It's not judged off of which position you play. It's judged off of, really, truly, how well did you play in 2023 and how dominant were you during that season. And to be perfectly fair, the best receiver in the NFL last year by a wide margin was Tyreek Hill. The best quarterback during the regular season last year was not Patrick Mahomes. It was Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, right? Lamar was the MVP. Josh Allen led the NFL in yards and touchdowns. Either one has a fair argument. Patrick Mahomes probably maybe wasn't even third on that list. But then, of course, you have the playoffs, where Mahomes once again showed up under the bright lights and was clutch as ever. And that's where I think everybody is assessing this past season, the playoffs. But the top 100 is about the entire year. And it's not about also projecting forward, I don't think. It's mostly about last year. The best players from last year entering this year. So let's just pull up the stats for both players and allow me to play devil's advocate to all of these media members that, of course, are defending Patrick Mahomes, which is perfectly fine and fair. Again, I would rank Mahomes first. But that's because my rankings have more to do with next year, have more to do with some consistency, an understanding of the position they play, an understanding of their overall body of work, the understanding of who will be the best going into next year on average, right? Not based on just simply last year. So let's just take a look at Patrick Mahomes' statistics. Mahomes, 14-6 for his record, 4,100 yards, 389 rushing yards, 27 touchdowns, only 14 interceptions. Nothing incredible there. That includes, by the way, rushing touchdowns. 7 yards per attempt, which is a very low number. 92.6 passer rating, which in the year 2024 is pedestrian. PFF grade second, which is impressive, but not first. That was Josh Allen. Turnover-worthy play percentage, 12th. Right, big time throw percentage, a very low number, 23rd best in that category, meaning the amount of tight window throws he makes, especially down the field, a low number of 23rd. EPA per play, he was barely top 10, he was 9th. Success rate, he was 7th. And intended air yards per attempt, he was near the bottom of the league, 30th. So a lot of short passes, and honestly, a lot of context could explain his lack of statistics last year. His lack of statistics came from the supporting cast that was around him. He didn't have very good receivers. Travis Kelce was injured during a majority of the year or going on tour with Taylor Swift, so he was distracted. The O-line had its bumps and bruises and wasn't exactly perfect the whole year. And Andy Reid was trying to figure out which receivers to put on the field and how to utilize them for Mahomes. And Mahomes and company didn't really figure that out until the playoffs. And even in the playoffs, let's also be fair, he diced up a battered and bruised Miami defense, about half of the starting defense of the Buffalo Bills. He didn't play that well against the Ravens outside of the first half. Second half wasn't very good, but that was the best defense in the league. And he struggled in the first half of the Super Bowl and dominated the second half. He came up with the plays that he needed to. He shined in the moments that he needed to. And again, he would be the number one player for me. But let's not act like this is an outrageous ranking. He didn't win the MVP. He wasn't dominant during the regular season. And he also wasn't dominant during the playoffs. He wasn't for a majority of the playoffs. If you compare that to the best player at his position last year, Tyreek Hill, the best receiver in the sport since the same length of time, same period of time, probably regarded as near the same in historical ranking, probably both top 10 quarterback or receiver of all time. In my opinion, Tyreek Hill is a borderline top 5 receiver of all time. In my opinion, Patrick Mahomes is a borderline top 5 quarterback of all time. People that put him like second and third or fourth are strictly basing that off talent and not actual resume. But it is what it is. We won't talk about that for today. I've literally seen people say that he's a top 5 player of all time. That is just simply false, but it's okay. We'll look at Tyreek Hill. 119 receptions. I believe that ranked second in the NFL behind CeeDee Lamb. 15.1 yards per reception. That is far above average, and that's an elite number. 1,799 receiving yards. I also think he missed some action last season. He was first in the NFL in yards. 112.4 yards per game. That was also first in the NFL, even better than Justin Jefferson. Touchdowns, 13, tied for the best in the NFL. So in the three main categories that a receiver needs to dominate, receptions, yards, and touchdowns, Tyreek Hill led the NFL in yards and touchdowns, in my opinion, probably the two most important stats. Receptions being third, he was second to CeeDee Lamb, who had a phenomenal year. Yards per target, 10.5. That must have been up there. Yards per route run, literally a record of 3.72 yards per route run, which was nearly 0.6 yards, or more than half a yard better than any other receiver in the NFL, period. Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, go through the list. Brandon Ayuk, didn't matter. Missed tackles forced, second only behind Deebo Samuel, who's a human glitch, at 28. Yak per reception was top 20. First downs was third. And the only lacking statistics was contested catches. Overall, Tyreek Hill had a thoroughly dominant statistical season in a way that, once again, Patrick Mahomes did not. Patrick Mahomes did not. His best stat on this stat sheet here is his PFF grade, which is a subjective film analysis. It's not actually a stat. It's subjective, right? So when you take that into account, is it really crazy that Tyreek Hill was rated above Patrick Mahomes, or somebody like Christian McCaffrey, who was the offensive player of the year, had 2,000 total yards, had 23 touchdowns? Was it outrageous that the best offense, the best player on that offense was ahead of Patrick Mahomes? Is it outrageous that the MVP of the NFL was above Patrick Mahomes? Honestly, no. But I think when you talk about what he did in the playoffs, you talk about what a quarterback needs to do at a high level in terms of every down, making the right decision for that team, given what he has to work with, right? The receivers at his disposal, the offensive line, the protection, the defense that he has on the other side, trying to complement that defense, trying to win games. Right? And this is the thing about Mahomes that I find funny about Tom Brady. All of a sudden, because of Patrick Mahomes, analysis and analysts in general that used to assess Brady and say that wins don't matter, it's a team stat. Let's say, like, I'll throw out a name, Mina Kimes, who used to have that in her Twitter bio, right? Now with Patrick Mahomes, wins matter. But it didn't matter with Tom Brady. So just for example, Tom Brady was a Super Bowl MVP and back-to-back Super Bowl champion in 2003 and 2004. And no, he did not have back-to-back or multiple MVPs, I should say, on his resume already like Mahomes did. Mahomes has more seasons under his belt as well as that young Tom Brady. But nobody would have voted Tom Brady as the best player in the NFL. Maybe fourth, right? That's probably reasonable. Maybe second even, behind Peyton Manning. But nobody would actually say that he was better than Peyton Manning, despite Peyton Manning constantly choking in the playoffs. He had that 49 touchdown season in 2004, so nobody would have voted him for that, right? They might have even put Marvin Harrison ahead of him, right? So, to me, Patrick Mahomes did not have his best year last year. And he was like an AFC championship or an AFC divisional loss away from being looked at as having his worst year of his career. And that's just the way the NFL works. That's just how the NFL works. So I find this conversation fascinating. Because, of course, the media is going to defend the golden boy, Patrick Mahomes, and that's fine. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I think I would rank him first. Because I think he's the best player in the NFL. But to say somebody like Tyreek Hill, it's outrageous that he's the best. He's the best receiver in the league. He's the most dangerous weapon in the league. He makes quarterbacks better around him. He makes offenses better. He makes the receivers on his team better. He makes defenses stay up at night and have nightmares. He makes his girlfriend have nightmares because he's probably going to put a baby in him. That as well. But is he the best player in the NFL? Maybe. Maybe. He might be. Christian McCaffrey? He might be too. Myles Garrett? Maybe he has an argument. Lamar? Last year? Maybe. Josh Allen? Maybe. By the way, his ranking, outrageous. I'll be ranking my top 100 soon. And I'll be reacting to the full top 100 list soon. So you'll see who I'll have at number 1, number 2, number 3. But I just wanted to talk about this because there's outrage on the X. There's outrage on Instagram. There's outrage on social media. And I don't know if it's warranted. I get it that everybody thinks Mahomes is the best. And again, for the millionth time, I do too. But is it crazy to say that Tyreek Hill is the best player in the NFL? I've been saying it for a long time. I'm just happy that finally somebody recognized it. At least it was the players. Thanks for watching, guys. Gronk, spike the like button. We'll see you in the next video. It's Mitch. Peace.